Okay, y'all, welcome back. Thank you for joining me in reviewing and recapping episode 7 of King's Court. Let's go ahead and jump right in, okay? The episode started off with Dr. Kalia, basically from the previous, episode where she was at the elimination dinner. It started with her saying that she needed, some time, some space to decompress because she was still kind of angry about being invited to the elimination dinner. And he gave her that space. So I guess later that night they had a conversation. She joined him on the couch and then they were talking. She expressed to him again how angry and humiliated she was again about being invited to this dinner. I don't understand, honestly, how she's so upset. Like, she's only known him for like such a short time, so I just don't get like I get being mad a little bit and annoyed, like, oh, you're gonna invite me to this dinner, I thought we had a better connection. But the way she's expressing how upset she is, you would think he did something so horrible, so I don't get that. And then during their conversation, she compared him to Carlos, saying that she observed him and the rest of the kings, and she observed how Carlos, is showing how much, he is, how he likes Janae. She said how serious he is, and when he wants something, he's showing that he wants it. She's referring to how Carlos is with Janae. And Carlos and Thaddeus, every single one of these men are so different from each other. Like, they're all very different from each other, very different personalities, very different people. So it would be hard to compare them, especially their life and their background and their history with women. Comparing Carlos to Thaddeus, history with, what I'm saying? Like, there, you can't really compare. As they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's true, we do it a lot, but it really is. So of course he started to respond, and of course he's going to respond to the comparison bit. Even though she said a lot of other stuff, he was like, about this comparison. And then she's like, don't focus on that, it's not about that. It would be kind of hard, because I'd be upset too if you're comparing me to somebody else. I don't like when people compare me to other people. It's really annoying. And I try not to do it because I know I don't like it. So I can only imagine when you compare somebody to somebody else, it's not cool. And of course, while he's, saying his point, she kind of interjected. And I guess he got a little annoyed with that. And he was like, I gave you the opportunity to speak. Now it's my turn. It's my turn. Allow me to speak about this. And so he said, well, I feel emotions are high right now. And I think he was mostly referring to himself, because you can tell he's a type who's very like, I'm not going to speak kind of in the moment. I'm going to try to hold what I have to say, and then like, I can tell he's the type to not want to get mad. Like, he's been there before and he knows what it is. So he's like, I'm not going to do this with you right now. So I'm just gonna, we're going to revisit this another time, another day, he said, because it was nighttime. So I think it was time for them to like go to bed. And it panned to Tyson, talking to Sarah and Adewise, and like, wherever they was, like outside in the garden by the pool or wherever they were sitting there chatting. And, he's saying he's going to take her on a date. He's going to take Adewise on a date. But yeah, back to Thaddeus. He was actually on, if y'all watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, a lot of these podcasts, they do like, they invite guests in to speak. So Thaddeus was a guest in a podcast that I've listened to for a few years. Lately I've been listening to it on and off, because I was like, when is this man gonna find a wife? Okay. He's always talking about his future wife, but he hasn't seen a wife yet, and I've been listening to him since like COVID. So, but apparently he's found a wife, and but anyways, that's beside the point. He had Tyson on his podcast. So it's called the Dare Future Wifey podcast. He had Thaddeus. I think I said Tyson. He had Thaddeus on his podcast. So if y'all get a chance, you can check out the Dare Future Wifey podcast. And Thaddeus was on there kind of giving a little bit of background about, his story, where he came from. You know, again, he had talked about being born to like a mom who was preteen. You know, she was barely 12 years old when she had him. And he, you know, he touched a little bit on that, the relationship, him being in like a boys' home, how he's built those relationships and how he came to be who he is. I've only watched half the podcast because I was watching it as I was preparing for work. So I didn't really get to finish it again because I just didn't have a chance to finish this podcast. So I will be watching it again. I will be continuing to watch it just to see what it says, just to see some points that he made. But it was good so far. You know, he made some points, different points about God and how he doesn't label his relationship with Christ. He doesn't label himself as a Christian, but he does go to church and he do believe in God and Jesus Christ as a Savior, but he doesn't label himself as a Christian. So that was interesting to me. I was like, how? You know, but to each his own. But it was just interesting. So if y'all are interested, since y'all watched the show, if you're watching this video, you watched the show. And so if you're interested in going to watch that podcast, it's their Future Wifey podcast. Thaddeus was a guest on there. So anyhow, so next, okay, so the host comes in and they told the guy, the Peets came in, they told the guys, you know, hey, you know, I know y'all got to meet the fellas, you know, family and friends last time. Now, you know, the fellas, the kings, will get to meet your family this time around. So they'll be coming, and so they had like a little backyard barbecue set up at the king's mansion or whatever for the ladies' family to come. And so have my little handy dandy notes. And so the ladies' family, Sarah invited her best friend Casey. Janae invited her best friend AJ. Adewise invited her best friend Santiago. And Catherine Cat, she invited her aunt Beverly. Not sure how old her aunt was, but her aunt was looking good, okay? You can tell she's a older lady that takes care of herself. Then Dr. Ariel invited her twin sister, Tiara. And then Dr. Kalia invited her best friend, who was it, Crystal? Felicia invited her best friend, Missy. It seems like everybody really invited their best friends. Most of the people invited their best friends. Brianna, she invited her younger brother, Fred. And then Jennifer invited her best friend, Mercedes. Okay, and so some of the conversation with the friends, Felicia, best friend, told Tyson that... She told Tyson that Felicia is not usually like touchy-feely, like she's not usually affectionate, but apparently Tyson is bringing it out of her because Tyson was shocked. He was like, are we talking about the same Felicia that, you know, I'm rubbing up on her booty, like she's rubbing up on me, she's sitting on me, or, you know, are we talking about the same affectionate Felicia that I know? Because that's not, you know, and her best friend was like, you know, you're bringing it out of her because that's not who she typically is. And that's good. That's good when someone can bring that affection, out of you, and you know, shows that she really likes him. And then AJ, Janae's best friend, she told Carlos that, you know, and so many women have experienced this. But she told AJ, told Carlos that Janae has never had a man who was communicative and honest with her. They've always been kind of dishonest. So she's had to deal with that a lot from every single guy she's ever dated. And that's sad, you know, when they're, you know, because lots of women know what that feels like because we've had to deal with it. But it's sad when you've not even had one man that's honest with you, you know. It just makes you not trust men. And that's sad. And then, you know, she asked him, if he's done being the type of guy that would entertain that type of stuff or that type of behavior or that type, you know, woman, if he's done with that type of entertainment. Of course, he's like, yeah, you know, like that's not who he's trying to be, especially for, you know, Janae. And of course, Idolize, she didn't like that Thaddeus was spending so much time with everybody, but not that much time with her, best friend. And also Tyson, she was like, she don't understand why he's not spending time with her either, because I guess those are, to her, she feels Tyson and Thaddeus are her connections that she wants to explore with. And she just didn't understand, why they weren't spending that much time. So she talked about that. And Tyson asked Sarah's best friend if she's ever dated any celebrities before. And her best friend was like, yes, she has. But they wouldn't say. So Tyson was like, why won't you say who this guy is? I told you who all my ex were. Like, why can't you say who this person is if it's a celebrity? Because, he's like, if it's a celebrity, then maybe I know who it is. So, why can't you share? But she wouldn't share at that moment. And then Fred, Brianna's younger brother, he talks to Thaddeus. He was talking to Thaddeus because that's Brianna's connection. And we haven't heard much from Brianna. Like the cameras at least haven't focused much on Brianna and her relationships and her connection with any of the men, Thaddeus even. Like, so it was like, sometimes I was wondering, like, are some of these women still there? Because I haven't heard. She was in the back of my mind because I like her lips and her red hair. She's a very pretty girl. So I was like, but I haven't seen much from her until recently. So, and Thaddeus said he understands that she's cautious because that's what Fred, her brother, said. She's cautious about this. He's cautious about the situation, as is she. But Thaddeus said he understands she's cautious, but there's something about her that does intrigue him. And I guess that's why he kept her, around. Jennifer's best friend thinks Carlos would be a good match for her. And I was like, okay. Dr. Kalia, she actually, her best friend was there talking to Thaddeus, and she actually apologized. Why does my nose itch so much? Is that money when your nose itch? I don't know, hopefully. But I don't know what that means. Or maybe it just means I'm nosy because I'm all up in these people's business on this show. Dr. Kalia apologized to Thaddeus in front of her best friend. While her best friend was there talking to him for her behavior the previous night before. And I was like, okay, good. And she was like, that's growth. And I was like, yes. She told him, or maturity. Is that what she said? Growth or maturity, she said. She apologized. And she said, she told him she could make him a better person. And then she said, as vice versa, like you can make me a better person too. And I was like, okay. She's a confident woman, that's for sure. And then Idolize, again, Idolize became upset again because she was like, Tyson didn't spend any time with her best friend. So she felt like he didn't want to get to know her, especially since the day before he was talking a big game, talking about, I'm going to take you out on a date. Like, we're going to go on a date. So he could get to know her, but that didn't happen. So she was like, I don't know what the deal is. So she told Tyson, because Kat saw her crying or whatever. So she was like, I'm going to go get Tyson so y'all can talk. And she told Tyson, I'm thinking about leaving. And then Tyson was like, no, don't leave. Don't leave. Just stay. So she ended up staying. And then I guess later on that night, Tyson was sitting on the couch with Sarah. And he was asking Sarah, about this celebrity situation. He was like, so who is it? Why don't you want to say who it is? And she was like, I guess she showed him a picture on her phone. And on the picture, he was like, he was shocked, when she told him who it was, because it was R. Kelly. Which I was shocked too. I was like, she dated R. Kelly, I was like, she dated R. Kelly. But she was like, yeah, it was like a decade ago. She dated him for 3 years, I guess, up until she found out that all that horrible stuff happened. And, before he went to jail, she said she didn't know anything about that. And she said she was young, and that was over a decade ago. And he said that the ex matter. He was like, he's like, when you have an ex like that, it does matter, and then then he said, you can't tell me you didn't know what he was accused of. You can't tell me that you didn't know what he's being accused of, like, and I'm like, okay, Tyson, stop it. Like, and I get it. I get it. With an ex like that, it does matter, you know, especially it's like, well, if this is the type of person you like, how do you see me? But this was 10 years ago, and she did say she was young, because I think Sarah is like 30 something, right? She's like 38 or something like that. So this must have been when she was in her 20s, and she's in her 20s living in LA and all that stuff. I'm assuming she's living in LA because that's where she's from. So I'm like, she's in her, she's dating celebrities, she's having fun. A lot of these people aren't thinking about what these celebrities are doing behind the scenes. A lot of these celebrity men, they have women, they're going to freak offs, they're doing all type of stuff that people don't know about. So she may not have known about it, she may not have known. It's not like, I mean, he didn't kill nobody, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tyson's acting like he was a serial killer or somebody. So I'm just like, what R. Kelly did is wrong. Let's be clear, what he did is wrong, but at the end of the day, that was a decade ago. You can't, if you like somebody, you can't fault her for that, unless that made you see a different light, like saying, oh, is she the type of girl to date only celebrity men? Or I don't know if that's what his thought process, or I don't know what his thought process were, but like accusing her now of being like, well, if this is, if you date this person, then it's like, what do you see? Like, I don't think she feels like you are that person, honestly. I mean, you're an attractive guy. Anybody would be attracted to you physically, because I'm telling you, just physically, you'd be attracted to Tyson, right? He's very good looking. But other than that, like, I just, his reaction was just a little much, but it's his reaction, so I can't, that's how he feels. But I don't know, it's just, and it's unfortunate, she's trying to put that past behind her, and it's sad when you dated somebody in your past and it has nothing to really do with you specifically, but now you're being under like a microscope, and it's really unfortunate. Because I don't know her, on camera, she comes off good. Like, she comes off good. She comes off like a decent human being. She comes off decent, She comes off, I didn't like, that thing where she was going after Felicia, like, it was weird. That was weird. But other than that, I mean, that's petty woman drama. Other than that, she seems like a decent person, other than that, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is. So moving on. The elimination. So they invited 3 ladies to the elimination dinner again. They invited Idolize, and I was like, dang, he told Idolize to stay, then he invited her to the elimination dinner. He should have just let that girl go gracefully on her own. Why even invite her? And then, of course, Sarah, they invited Sarah to the elimination dinner, clearly because, Tyson was not feeling that connection, and, he took that to heart. Like, he took it to heart. And then, of course, Brianna got invited to the elimination dinner. And of course, Brianna wanted to know, like, why am I invited to the elimination dinner? And I was surprised too. I was like, why? But then Thaddeus told us, like, he didn't see much of her personality before, and he liked a confident woman. And he was like, before he wasn't really seeing that. In the fast 48 hours, she showed that. Like, she showed him, like, hey, this is who I am. She got her little confidence back, and it's probably because her family was there. Now she feels, because these women are not around family, so her family came, and now she feels a little bit more confident, like, this is, like, give me that boost, like, hype me up. The family came and hyped her up, so now she's like, okay, now you get to see me a little bit more. Now I get to kind of like, you get to see me, because now I got to talk to my brother. I feel a little bit better. I've been away from family. I've been away from people that I know and love. Now I got a little boost of energy, that familial love. Like, come on, let's, so I feel like maybe that's what that is. So he was like, you hadn't shown that. You've only shown me that within the past 48 hours. So unfortunately, that was not enough time, enough to develop, stronger bonds with the other women that are here. So he let her go. So Brianna is gone. And then of course, Tyson, he said that he let Sarah go, but I didn't like what he did. He didn't tell her. He had Carlos do it. He had Carlos let her go. And I'm just like, because he didn't want to speak to her directly. And I was like, okay, this happened 10 years ago. She didn't tell you who her ex was, and she could have shared that at the beginning, but she didn't share that up front because that's her past. And, she wants to let that go. And that had nothing to do with her. I, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't think she was the one out here having these little girls pee on her and all them. I don't think she was doing all that. She was just young and wanted to date a celebrity. I don't think she was, doing any type of forcing women against their will to do anything and being in. I don't know if she was joining Tyson, if they were, Bonnie and Clyde in this mug doing. But I don't think that's the case. Okay, and that's how Tyson was basically acting. Like she didn't share that with you for a reason. You weren't mad before. Maybe with some other celebrity, you'd have been like, shoot, he ain't, what, he ain't. But because it's R. Kelly, I get, and again, I don't know. Maybe it's a stigma of it being like another black man, like that did that. It's like you don't want to be associated with that. Like, oh, so I honestly don't know. And like I said, he is entitled to his opinion, but it's just his emotions was just so strong, and the way he reacted was just so strong. And it comes off almost as disrespectful for somebody that you say you like. You can at least be man enough, to talk to her. You could at least be man enough to be like, hey, this, and this. I did not like this because I did not respect this because, therefore, we cannot continue. Like, tell her to her face. Don't sit across a table from her and not look at her. It's like, I don't know, throughout this whole thing, watching Tyson on TV, I just see from a grown man, some very immature behavior. It's like, you have the nerve to tell people they're not ready for love or they're not ready for, I don't know. I personally did not like that, and I could not respect that. Give her at least that dignity for yourself as a man to say, hey, you may not wanted to have shared that with me, and I think you should have, but I am going to share this with you, and this is what I did not like. Like, speak up, use your words, don't back away, don't get another man to do your dirty work, do it yourself. But anyways, but he did tell Holly Robinson Peets, one of the hosts, he did tell her he felt Sarah stole something from him. He said she stole his heart, with withholding this information. And I was like, so you felt she stole your heart, so you felt that strongly about her, yet you couldn't talk to her to tell her why you were letting her go? I mean, she knew why, but just explain to her because I want to know his feelings and why it's actually so strong. I get, it's R. Kelly and you dated a guy that's not a good guy, but I'm like, why is it so? I'm still confused on why it's so strong that he couldn't even look at her. Like, he couldn't talk to her. Okay. And then Thaddeus, he sent Brianna home because I think of the reason he said, he even mentioned, even though he's known Dr. Kalia a shorter period of time than he did Brianna, he still felt a stronger connection to Dr. Kalia. So that's it, guys. Then there was just 6 women left. There's only 6 women. The 6 women that are left. Janae is still there. Kat's still there. Dr. Ariel, she's still there. Dr. Kalia is still there. And of course, Felicia is still there. So all these women are still there. And of course, Jennifer is still there. So how many women is that? Is that 6? So Janae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and Jennifer is still there. So there is Janae and Jennifer will be, I guess, the ones fighting for Carlos's attention. They're the 2 left fighting for Carlos's attention, or vying, not fighting. We don't fight, ladies. We don't fight. Vying for Carlos's attention. And then, of course, there is Dr. Ariel and Dr. Kalia, which would be the ones, I guess, vying for Thaddeus's attention. And Tyson's would be Felicia. Catherine is left, but who is Catherine like main connection? I don't really know. Is it Tyson? So maybe Catherine and Felicia, Kath and Tyson, Kath and Felicia going for Tyson. So maybe that's who their main connections are. So I guess that's who would be vying for. So I guess each gentleman got two ladies, two connections vying for them. And Kat's just a wild card because I'm not particularly sure exactly, but Kat's a wild card. So, but I think she does like Tyson. From what I remember, she does like Tyson. So that's it. We're down to these 6 women. So it's going to get probably a little bit more intense now because there's, going to be a little bit less distraction. It's just going to be 2-on-1 with these, dates probably and spending time. So we will see how this goes. Thank y'all for watching. And did I just spit? Thank y'all for watching. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.